Hey everyone, how are you guys doing today? It is, as you can probably guess, a very gray Sunday. Every single time, even if I come on a Saturday, it's gray. It's really weird. Last night we had such extreme thunderstorms. My poor little dog, she had a really hard time with it. If you want to see how bad some of the flooding is, it's worse in other areas. You can look at my Instagram. You can find me Christy_Stratus. It's in my story. So today I just wanted to talk about, I think I mentioned maybe in my last live stream that I have been doing a lot more webinars, or maybe I mentioned it in something totally different, but I've been going to a lot more webinars, free ones, just to see. I remember at Liberty State's Fiction Writers, the conference, there was someone who's been published a ton, and I don't remember if she's best-selling, but she does very well. And she had said, like, even free webinars, you can take something from it. And so I learned that just by going to them anyway. But once she said that, I was sort of more encouraged to go to these free webinars. Some of them don't really give you much of anything. Some of them promise things that they don't really deliver. Some of them are really just looking to sell you something. They're all looking to sell you something, but I mean, some of them will give you information. And so I like this one because this was with Tim Grahl, I've been on his newsletter for a long time. And he does send up very interesting tips. Some of them are really helpful. And he was also recommended by that person at the conference. So I had gone to a webinar recently that was about your book launch. So this is not the whole webinar. Again, this was free, so I'm not like giving away anything that he was doing for pay or anything like that. And this is also not sponsored by him. I left his links down below in case you have an interest in checking him out. He does have a lot of free resources on his website too. So, it's worth looking at his website. He did a number of things during this webinar, and one of them was naming the types of book launches, which was interesting, but I found most useful the checklist of things that you should do if you have time before a book launch. That's one of the things, like, it makes my little project management heart really happy because it's really hard to organize that kind of stuff. Like, there's lots of ideas I have, but I think a lot of you can understand that once you write the book and you've gotten it edited, you're all pumped and you just want to publish it. And a lot of times you've already given out a date, and sometimes you end up really tight to that date. So even ARC copies can go out pretty last minute. Even beta reads can go out pretty last minute if you do that kind of thing. So this was interesting because he was saying, if you have the ideal timeline of 7 to 9 months, here's what you could do with it. And he breaks it down so that, he's assuming that we all have full-time jobs or other things going on, and that nobody can do everything like at the last minute and just get everything done. And so I thought that this was especially useful because he actually took that into consideration, which not everyone does. So he was saying if you had 7 to 9 months before your book launch, which is like a dream, that's what everyone says you should have. Your ideal is 9 months. Some people say 6 months. A lot of people say 3. It really depends on where you look, but probably the more time you have, the better. And I used to think that if it was too much time, you would, hold on a second, guys. Okay. Sorry about that. If you have that kind of time, it's rare. I forget what I was saying. Anyway, so if you had 9 months, he's saying that you would want to identify things like blogs and podcasts that you'd want to be on. So that's obviously a really good idea. I don't look too far outside. I have a publicist right now that's helping me with that kind of thing when I do have a brand new book that's going to come out, which will be next year probably. I'll have a short story in the meantime, but if you have like people in mind that you would like to do, like if you already had a book launch and you were saying like, oh, this blog is really popular and that one I really like, and this is a good podcast and that radio show and stuff like that, start identifying them. He's saying just identify them at that point, 7 to 9 months. So again, he's not saying identify them, email them, wait for a response all at the same time, he's just saying pick them out. So that search can be kind of a pain, I have to say, looking for like the right podcasts and finding some podcasts that are accessible to you if you don't have a publicist, and that have enough of an audience that you feel you want to be there, or even friends who do podcasts, like that does take time. So it does make sense to start that way in advance. He was saying you can start identifying your early readers, which he was saying you could have like 3 to 5 people. And I was surprised because I thought he was definitely going to go for the ideal of like as many people as you can get, 20 people or something, the more early readers, the better. The more early readers, the more likely that you'll have a few reviews ready to go by the time, you have your actual launch. So I was surprised when he said 3 to 5 people. It is much more doable. He also said, decide on your launch team strategy. Is there anyone you can identify who could help you get the word out about your book, which is sort of similar to influencers, but what he's talking about is people that I think more. So, like I have certain people that I know that I have lots of people I know that I want to tell immediately when I know when my book is going to be coming out. And there are some people that are going to be more interested in helping you. And there are some people that may just be interested in watching what you do and stuff. But if there's someone that a few people that you can identify who would actually want to be saying like, oh, I'm so excited about this, and start getting other people excited. That's who he's talking about, I think. Then he was saying at 4 to 6 months, this is when you're actually doing some of the work where you start reaching out. He's saying this is when you do your influencer outreach and you start pitching to them. So you take that list that you have of different podcasts and blogs and radio shows and whatever you've got, and you start pitching. And you can have like a template for this, but you could need to change it depending on, what the show is about and who exactly their readership or viewership is. You may need to change it. So, but it's always really good to have a template, I think. So that's when you start pitching, start sending out your emails, if you make calls, then make calls. And then he was saying, make sure you get together anything people may need to help promote the book. And he was saying, begin hinting to your list. He was talking about your email list, not about buying the book, but dropping hints that a book is coming. So he's saying you don't have to start like a sales pitch right away to like your email list. You can just say, oh guys, I'm going to be publishing a book relatively soon. This is what you can look forward to, and doing some teasers and stuff. I think that's a good idea. I had heard at the conference that there are people who start their pitches long before they have their book done. And I had always thought that would be a bad idea. Hi, Anita. I had always thought that would be a bad idea, because I thought people would just start forgetting, but they were saying at the conference that like if you do it far enough in advance and I guess frequently enough, but not annoying frequent, that then people won't forget as easily. So I guess it's a pretty delicate balance, and it probably takes you trying different things to see what are people interested in and what's going to irritate them. And not that you want to, but sometimes you have to see, are people still responding when I do a post 3 times a day? You know what I mean? So it is probably some like trial and error. He was saying you could decide on launch giveaways at the 4 to 6 month point. He said one of the best ways that you could do that, like giveaways and things, is you tell them if you buy the book when it comes out, then you get something. That person receives something, like the reader receives something. So if they buy the book and they provide proof of purchase, then you can send them something like a free novella or something that's a strong incentive to buy the book. And the point is that they would want the incentive to buy the book now instead of putting it on their wish list. And he was giving the example that he has a ton of books on his wish list that he's probably never going to read. So, I mean, making your way through that long wish list is tough. And so he was saying coming up with something people really want, and that would make them buy it right now or pre-order or whatever. And he was saying that you need to be creating shareable assets and images that you can share 4 to 6 months at that 4 to 6 months in advance point. So, that happened to me last time, actually, with my last Lock and Key release. I was really excited. I had certain things set up in advance, like I had a 10 or 11 day countdown to when Lock and Key was going to release. And I had specific pictures, and I had taken those pictures myself and I got them all set up. And then I didn't have, but that was like, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, but I didn't have anything else. And so when I wanted to put up like any ARC readers testimonials, I would be like scrambling at the last minute to do it. And that was a pain because I had to do that after work. And I had to edit other people's books and stuff at the same time. So my book was coming last. So this is it makes total sense to me that you would want to do those things in advance. Any quotes you think people will be interested in, from your book or ARC, testimonials, stuff like that. It's really a pain to do at the end. He was saying 3 months in advance, you want to finish all of your outreach, make sure everything is in place. Any guest posts or interviews that you're going to have written should be written, that should all be done. He was saying that any book landing page where you're going to click to buy, that's something that I haven't personally done yet. I have on my homepage, if you go to justchristystratus.com, I just have my books listed there, but some people have a landing page that's like a sales pitch type of thing. So you want to be setting that up. You want to be getting that ready 3 months in advance so that you have time to look at it and say I like this, I don't like that. I'll come back to it in a week. Oh, now I really see, what I do and don't like, that kind of stuff. The same kind as when you do editing and you need to come back to it in a while. And then he was saying if you need to create videos, doing it 3 months in advance is a good idea. So this is a lot of planning in advance and it can still add up to work, but it's better than doing it at the last minute and it's better than missing a lot of opportunities at the last minute. So I don't know. I think I would try this kind of thing if I ever was able to have a book ready 9 months in advance, probably more like 3. I see that as more attainable for me. But anyway, at 2 months, you have your book's 2 months book. Okay. Book launch is 2 months out. There we go. He's saying confirm all influencer outreach. Make sure that everyone has what they need. And that's a really important one because not everyone has a ton of time. That's why you're contacting them initially 6 months in advance. So you just want to make sure they've got it all set in there. They might come back to you and be like, oh, I forgot, I need this, that, and the other, or did you send that to me or what? Everyone's busy. So it's good to check in with them, make sure they're good to go. He was saying if you have any automation to your launch system, that 2 months in advance is the time to do it, to have it all set up. I don't have anything like that, but maybe a good example would be Facebook posts. You can schedule those in advance, Twitter posts, whatever you can schedule in advance. If you set that all up that far in advance, you're golden. It's going to be so much easier. So that I do, and I did that specifically, not with a book launch, but less importantly with the month of December. A couple of years ago, every day on my Facebook page, I wanted to have a Victorian, Christmas or winter or Hanukkah or whatever scene, just a holiday and winter scene, put up on my Facebook page, and it would get difficult because after work I'd be struggling to look this stuff up. So I did that a month in advance, and then I didn't have to worry about it anymore. And I can tell you my life was way easier. So I really appreciate the idea of an automated launch system, no matter whether it's Facebook or something more complicated. He was saying, get other people motivated to buy the book and create all outreach content. So if you haven't done anything yet, if you are still needing to write any articles, any videos, anything like that that isn't done, now is the time. You don't want to wait till the last minute. Okay, and then when you are 1 month out, he was saying that this is the time that you're going to be executing the plan and you don't want to add to it at this point. I'm one of those people that I can't see leaving it alone, but maybe if I had those 9 months, it would be different. Like I said, I've never had that before, so I don't know. But anyway, he was saying it's important not to add to the plan at this point because anything you do last minute, especially if it's complicated, could come out. It could possibly come out, half-baked, not as good as it could be, and then everything else looks good. And then you've got this part that's sort of lagging and isn't so great. So that was his idea with that. I have a feeling there would always be something for me that I would want to add, but it made sense that he said that. And he said, it's important that you're able to roll with the punches. So if at the last minute, some influencer was like, oh, I know this was really important for you, but I just can't do it anymore for some reason. You need to be able to roll with it and be okay with it and either have something to replace it or just be cool with it, And then he was saying after that, he considers 1 month just the launch point, and that's the execution, and that's it. There's no 1 week, we're down to 1 week, we're down to 2 weeks, nothing like that. It's 1 month and that's it. So for me, of course, I'm doing everything because I'm ready a couple weeks, maybe a month in advance. I'm still doing everything, in the last week, the last day, everything. This would be nice to have a month that I can just enjoy my time with, a month out to my book launch. And then he was saying, when you get to after the launch, he was saying, write down what was good and what wasn't. that is a really important thing in projects in general, to always do like a postmortem. You want to see like what worked, best practices, things you never want to do again, things you should have prepared for better, how you could have prepared for them better, stuff like that. Sounds like a lot of work. I haven't yet done it with my book launches, and I kind of regretted it because there are things that I did that I liked and that went well, and I don't always remember what they are. He was saying to send thank you notes to anyone who helped. So people like influencers, your friends, anyone who put up a review on the day that it launched or close to it, and then plan for the future. You know, how are you going to move forward from that? One of the things that I regret the most, and I don't know how many of you do this, is when you go to do that post-mortem and saying what worked and what didn't, I never write down what I did in terms of formatting, in terms of like what I put on Facebook, but especially in terms of formatting and uploading and stuff like that. And I'm always going back and forth between my old book and my new one, trying to figure out like, what did I do and how did it work? And all I have to do is set up a document. Like, it's that easy. And I can do that. I used to do that in my project management job all the time. Constantly, that was what I did. So like anytime we'd have a project, for every step of the way, I'd be like making documentation. And yet I don't do it for my own stuff, like my own book launch stuff. So that is a little bit like annoying to me that I don't do that. And I keep promising myself I will. We'll see. Maybe someday. I hope next time. Part of the problem was before that with my full-time job and my editing business and everything else, it was always like, I don't have time to be writing stuff down. I just need to hurry, hurry, hurry. So hopefully now that that has changed, I am no longer with my full-time job and I love to do my editing business full-time. Maybe now I'll be able to do that documentation along the way. That would be a lot smarter and a lot easier. And especially because now I'll be using Scrivener 3 instead of Scrivener 2. I think it's 3. Whatever the latest version of Scrivener is, it's different. And I need to look at that and see what the differences are. So if I can plan way ahead of time and if I can start noting those things down, whatever my pain points are, if I can make documentation about that, I'll be so much better off. So that was the webinar. That is what I found out from Tim Grahl's free webinar about book launches. Again, you can check out his links down below if you want to. This is not sponsored. I just found it interesting. He has a lot of free resources. His course looked really great. It looked awesome. It's just that I think right now, actually, you can do it like, I think I saw that you don't have to pay like this huge price for the whole thing. I think you pay by month. I don't know if that was a special offer during the webinar or if it's still there. But anyway, if you can pay per month and you can hurry through his course, it might be a good idea because he does this stuff all the time and he's got it really like all set up. He has special guests like Joanna Penn and stuff. I was looking at that and thinking, wow, that'd be cool to do. But I wasn't 100% sure if it was something that I really wanted to invest in. So I'll have to see as I get closer. I think I'm always like a DIY type of person. DIY type of person, and I always prefer like to do things myself if I can, rather than, you know, taking courses and hiring someone. But you know, I could see where his course would be really useful. I'm not late. The clock time is early. Yeah, Rebecca. Yeah. No, hi, Joe. I'm glad you guys made it. You can rewatch this, of course. I hope this was helpful. Not everyone has time to attend an hour webinar, and I did leave Tim's links down below, so I'm not trying to do him out of any information or getting people to his webinar at all. You can check him out, and there are resources that are actually really useful, and I want to look at a few of them myself on his website. So if you think this is helpful, if you liked hearing like a summary of one of these free webinars where I show you like who did it and where you can find them and stuff like that, let me know, because I've been going to a lot of them and I'll be happy to share what I learned with you. And, you know, maybe you'll end up talking to these people and making new connections. Who knows? So again, thank you guys for coming. Thanks as always for spending time with me. And I will see you at 10 p.m. You have to go 10 p.m. Eastern time on Joe Compton's page. And he's going to be there doing his live. He does this every Sunday. He has a live event on his Facebook where he talks about, well, actually, he can talk about anything. I've been to a number of them, and he talks about multiple things. So this time he's going to be talking about his most recent flagship show. I will be there, and I hope that you're going to be there. It was an exciting one, and if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. It's really cool. So anyway, thanks again. I'll see you soon.